There is a silent current moving through your life, unseen yet undeniably real. Everything around you, every circumstance, every person, every challenge is quietly shifting in your favor. You may not see it yet, but the tide is turning and it is moving toward your victory. The first truth to understand is that your reality begins in your imagination. Whatever you hold in your mind with conviction and feeling begins to shape the world around you. When you assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, your life bends to reflect that inner certainty. Do not underestimate the power of your mind. It is not merely a tool, it is the forge of your reality. Even when the external world seems stagnant, know this: the invisible shift is already happening. Forces beyond your perception are arranging events and people to bring about what you desire. The universe does not work with hesitation. It moves quietly, methodically, always toward the realization of what your heart has imagined. Trust the process, even when you cannot yet see it. But belief alone is not enough. You must persist in the feeling of your fulfilled desire. Do not let doubts creep in. Do not allow impatience to cloud your vision. Every moment you maintain the inner certainty, you are creating an irresistible momentum that life must reflect. Persistence is the key. The world cannot deny the conviction of a determined heart. Release all resistance. The moment you let go of fear, worry, and frustration, the flow of life moves unhindered toward you. Struggle is unnecessary. It only delays what is already destined for you. Surrender to the natural unfolding and allow miracles to happen with ease. Imagination is your creative power. Live in the end of your desire. See it, feel it, embrace it, as though it is already yours. By immersing yourself in this inner reality, you invite the physical world to follow. Every reality begins as a mental picture. Every success begins as an imagined certainty. Trust the timing of life. What seems delayed is not denial, it is preparation. Everything is being orchestrated with perfect precision to bring your desires in the most favorable way. There is divine timing at work, and it always works in your favor. So hold fast. Do not give up. Every unseen shift, every hidden movement, every quiet alignment is leading you toward your breakthrough. Everything is shifting in your favor. Trust it, believe it, feel it, and watch the impossible become inevitable. Your reality begins not in the world around you, but in the silent creative depths of your imagination. Everything you see, experience, and encounter in your life is a reflection of the beliefs you hold within. The moment you realize that your outer world is a mirror of your inner state, you step into a place of power. For the world does not create you. You create the world by the assumptions you persist in. This is the secret that many overlook. Life does not respond to your complaints, your fears, or even your wishes without feeling. It responds to the living, vibrant conviction that you hold in your mind and heart. When you assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, when you live as though what you seek has already been accomplished, life itself begins to rearrange. People, circumstances, and opportunities align in ways that seem miraculous, yet they are the natural consequence of your inner state. It is not enough to merely hope or wish for change. Hope is weak, fleeting, and uncertain, and the outer world senses this uncertainty. Your imagination, however, is powerful and tangible. By imagining vividly, by entering the state where your desire is already realized, you send a signal to the universe that your fulfillment is inevitable. It is not a distant possibility, it is a present reality, experienced first in the inner world before manifesting in the physical. When you carry this assumption consistently, it impresses itself upon your consciousness so deeply that your actions, decisions, and reactions begin to align with that reality. You start to notice opportunities that were invisible before. You begin to meet people who serve as instruments of your vision. Life unfolds in a way that confirms your inner assumption. Your imagination is the divine tool through which you mold your reality. To exercise this power, you must enter the end state of your desire. Feel it in your body, in your heart, and in your mind. See yourself living the life you want, not someday, but now. Sense the emotions of fulfillment, gratitude, and joy as if they are already yours. This feeling is the signal that transforms mere thought into creation. The universe moves to match the frequency of your inner state. Resistance, doubt, and negativity will try to interrupt this process, but persistence and faith are your allies. The more you dwell in the assumption of your fulfilled desire, the stronger and more undeniable the impression becomes. Understand that the outer world is never separate from you. Every event, every encounter, every circumstance is a reflection of what you carry inside. If your imagination is strong, clear, and unwavering, the world will reflect that strength back to you. If your inner state is uncertain or fearful, life will mirror that uncertainty. This is the essence of creation. You do not chase reality, you embody it. By assuming the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you take the first step in reshaping everything around you. Life reorganizes itself in response, and what once seemed impossible becomes not only possible, but inevitable. Even when everything around you appears still, when life seems to stall and circumstances seem unmoving, an invisible current is flowing beneath the surface, quietly rearranging reality in your favor. Most people judge the world by what they see with their eyes, forgetting that the visible world is always preceded by the invisible. What appears as delay or stagnation is not failure. It is the hidden preparation for your desire to manifest. The universe is always working, always moving, always aligning events, opportunities, and people, even when you cannot yet perceive it. This unseen shift is subtle, delicate, and profound, and it is entirely in your favor. The moment you understand that the physical world is a reflection of the invisible, you will no longer be shaken by what seems like inaction. The unseen forces are already at work. They move in perfect harmony with your inner assumption, rearranging circumstances in ways that often appear miraculous. These forces do not operate randomly. They respond to the frequency of your consciousness. Every belief, every feeling, every thought you hold is a vibration that communicates to the universe what reality you wish to inhabit. When you persist in the assumption of your desire fulfilled, unseen arrangements begin to take shape. Doors open before you, connections are made, and opportunities present themselves naturally. You may not see the mechanism, and you may not feel the shift immediately, but it is happening. Trust in the quiet, because what is invisible is always more powerful than what is visible. It is essential to understand that the shift always precedes the manifestation. Life does not simply hand you your desires in a moment of need. It first aligns the circumstances, the people, and the events to make that desire inevitable. Just as a seed must first develop roots beneath the soil before it sprouts into the sunlight, your dream must first take form in the invisible realm before it appears in the world of matter. To panic, to doubt, or to rush the process is to resist the very natural order that is working for you. Patience is not passivity, it is trust in the creative law that governs reality. The more you can internalize this truth, the less power the outer world has to disturb your inner peace. Circumstances are never final, they are temporary indicators that the unseen is still aligning. Even when setbacks appear, they are often part of a larger orchestration, positioning you for the most favorable outcome. You are not witnessing delay, you are witnessing preparation. Your task is not to force results, but to remain steadfast in the inner vision, to continue assuming the state of fulfillment, and to carry the feeling of the end as your present reality. Know that this invisible shift is relentless, precise, and inevitable. Your desire is already on its way to you. The universe is not late. It is perfectly timed. The unseen forces are constantly at work, molding the circumstances so that when the manifestation appears, it does so effortlessly and completely. Your only requirement is to trust, to persist, and to hold unwavering faith in the unseen process. What is invisible now will soon be visible, and everything that is shifting in your favor will emerge as proof of the power of belief, patience, and alignment with the creative law. The power of your desire is not measured by how loudly you declare it or by the force with which you wish for it. It is measured by the persistence of the feeling you carry within. It is easy to become distracted by appearances, by circumstances that seem to contradict your dreams, or by voices, both external and internal, that whisper doubt. Yet true manifestation does not depend on the external world. It depends entirely on your inner state. The moment you persist in the feeling of your desire fulfilled, living as though it is already yours, you set into motion an inevitability that the outer world cannot resist. This is the secret that transforms dreams into reality. The continuity of feeling, the unwavering assumption that your desire exists now. To persist in feeling means to occupy your inner world with the end result, without hesitation, without interruption, and without compromise. Do not allow fleeting doubts or momentary disappointments to break the continuity of your assumption. Life will constantly challenge you. It will present obstacles, delays, and contradictions. These are not signs that your desire is failing. They are tests of your persistence. Every time you return to the feeling of your fulfilled desire, every time you re-enter the state of its already having been accomplished, you reinforce the vibration that must eventually be reflected in your external world. Continuity is the bridge between imagination and reality, between thought and matter. And matter, the outer world cannot reflect what your inner state does not first hold. People, circumstances, and events are drawn to the frequency you maintain. When your inner state is consistent, when your feeling of fulfillment is steady and unwavering, life aligns to mirror it. The more you persist in feeling, the more inevitable your manifestation becomes. Even when the world appears contrary, persistence creates a gravitational pull that cannot be denied. What seems like opposition is merely the outer world waiting to catch up with the state of consciousness you have assumed. Persistence is also an act of faith. It is faith not in what you see, but in what you imagine. It is the belief that what you have assumed as true in your inner world will inevitably appear in your outer world. This faith is not passive, it is active, vibrant, and alive. Every thought, every feeling, every moment spent in the inner reality of fulfillment strengthens the invisible threads that bind your desire to its manifestation. Impatience, worry, or distraction weakens these threads, while steadfast feeling reinforces them until the external world must conform. Understand that persistence is not measured in days or months, it is measured in consistency of state. It is the unbroken commitment to live in the end, to feel the reality of your desire now, to ignore appearances, and to hold unwavering conviction. When you persist, life cannot help but yield. The outer world has no choice but to reflect the state you have assumed. Your desire moves from imagination to inevitability, from thought to experience, from invisible assumption to visible manifestation. Continuity of feeling is the law through which the impossible becomes inevitable, and the dreams you hold most dear become your living reality. Resistance is the invisible barrier that prevents your desires from manifesting. It is the tension created by doubt, fear, and impatience, the inner struggle against the natural flow of life. When you wrestle with circumstances, when you fight against what seems to be, you only strengthen the very obstacle you wish to overcome. The universe responds not to struggle, but to the state of mind you maintain. Every moment you resist, every thought of worry or fear acts like a block, slowing the movement of your desire from imagination into reality. It is not the world that delays your fulfillment. It is your resistance that interrupts the seamless flow of life that is already working in your favor. To release resistance is to surrender, to trust, and to allow the natural unfolding of events to carry you toward your desire. Surrender does not mean inaction or passivity, it means alignment. It means maintaining your inner assumption of the fulfilled desire while letting go of struggle. When you no longer oppose the present moment, when you cease to fret over how or when your desire will manifest, you create space for the invisible currents of life to bring your vision into form. This is the paradox of creation. By releasing struggle, you gain control. By surrendering, you command the manifestation of your desire. Fear is one of the most common forms of resistance. It whispers that what you want is impossible, that you are not worthy, or that circumstances are against you. Doubt, likewise, undermines your inner conviction, tempting you to look to the outer world for proof. Impatience rushes you to act before the invisible forces are fully aligned. All of these are signs that you are operating from a place of resistance rather than trust. The solution is simple but profound. Return continually to the inner state of peace, assurance, and certainty. Let the feeling of your desire fulfilled dominate your consciousness. Live as if the end has already come, and allow life to orchestrate the details. Understand that the universe is always working, always arranging, always moving to fulfill your desire. The unseen is precise, and the natural order is perfect. When you resist, you clash with this order. When you surrender, you align with it. This alignment is effortless. It requires no struggle, no frantic effort, no desperate attempts to control outcomes. All that is required is faith, patience, and the willingness to allow life to bring your desire in its own perfect way. Every delay, every obstacle, every unexpected turn is simply life preparing the optimal conditions for your fulfillment. Only a state of unconditional fulfillment. By releasing resistance, you move from tension to flow, from fear to faith, from struggle to effortless creation. You free yourself to inhabit the reality you have imagined. You understand that the outer world cannot resist the conviction of your inner state. As you surrender, the doors that seemed closed begin to open. The pathways that seemed blocked clear, and the invisible forces align with precision, bringing your desire into manifestation. Everything is already shifting in your favor, and resistance is the only thing that could prevent you from seeing it. Let go, trust the process, and know that life is unfolding exactly as it should, carrying you to the reality your heart has imagined. Every new reality begins in the mind. The world you see around you is not the starting point. It is the reflection of what has already been conceived in consciousness. Imagination is not a mere tool for idle dreaming. It is the creative force, the divine instrument through which life itself is shaped. Whatever you wish to experience, whatever success, joy, or fulfillment you desire, first exists as a mental picture within you. Before a tree grows, before a building is constructed, before any achievement is realized, it begins as a vision, a clear inner representation that precedes all physical manifestation. To ignore the power of imagination is to ignore the very mechanism through which life responds to consciousness. To wield this creative force effectively, you must live in the end. This means inhabiting the state of your desire fulfilled, imagining the result with vivid detail, and most importantly, with deep emotion. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the relief, the excitement, the gratitude of having what you seek. Emotions are the bridge between imagination and reality. They give life to the mental picture and impress it upon the fabric of existence. The universe does not distinguish between imagination and reality. It responds to the feeling and conviction behind the inner picture. The more real it feels to you, the sooner it becomes inevitable in the physical world. Living in the end is not simply visualizing the outcome, it is embodying it. See yourself walking through the day as if your desire has already been fulfilled. Hear the sounds, notice the surroundings, feel the sensations of your new reality. The mind and body must align with the imagined state. This alignment signals to life that your fulfillment is not hypothetical but actual. The more consistently you enter this state, the more the outer world is compelled to mirror it. You are as the sea is calm and mostly clear. You are as the sea is calm and mostly clear. Opportunities, people, and circumstances begin to appear in perfect harmony with the inner reality you hold. What once seemed distant or impossible now becomes natural and inevitable. The creative force of imagination is also timeless. Past failures, current circumstances, or apparent impossibilities have no power over it. When you imagine with conviction, the mental picture exists beyond the constraints of time, calling the future into existence before it appears physically. This is the essence of manifestation. The future is already here in consciousness, and your imagination simply allows it to take form in the material world. By repeatedly dwelling in the end, by reinforcing the mental picture with faith and feeling, you set in motion an invisible current that life must honor. Do not underestimate the simplicity and power of this process. The secret of all creation is imagination. whatever you vividly assume and persist in feeling as real, life is compelled to bring into existence. Every great achievement, every success story, every transformation in history began with this invisible act of mental creation. By embracing your imagination as the creative force, by living in the end, and by infusing your vision with deep emotion, you become the architect of your own reality. The life you desire is not waiting for permission, it is waiting for your inner assumption to claim it as already yours. Faith in divine timing is the understanding that the universe operates with perfect precision, even when life appears to move slowly or obstacles seem to delay your desires. What seems like a pause, a setback, or a disappointment is never truly a denial of your wish. It is the meticulous preparation of circumstances, people, and opportunities to ensure that your manifestation arrives in the most favorable way. Life is orchestrated with an intelligence far beyond what the conscious mind can perceive. Every moment, every event, and every interaction is part of a grand design, aligning invisibly to bring your desire to fruition. To have faith in divine timing is to trust that nothing is wasted, nothing is random, and nothing is absent from the unfolding of your life. Delays are often misunderstood as failure, but they are in reality the proof of the universe's perfect planning. If you push too hard, act prematurely, or try to force results, you may disrupt the natural order that is working in your favor. The outer world cannot create what the inner world has not yet fully prepared. And the timing of life ensures that everything falls into place with maximum impact. Faith in divine timing is the recognition that what you desire is already yours in the unseen realm, and that the universe is simply aligning the perfect circumstances to bring it into your physical experience. Patience, therefore, is not passive waiting. It is active trust in the creative law that governs reality. To cultivate this faith, you must let go of anxiety and impatience. Doubts arise when you focus on appearances rather than the invisible truth that your desire exists in the inner world and that the external world will inevitably reflect it. Every moment that seems empty or delayed is a moment in which unseen forces are meticulously arranging everything for your good. This faith transforms waiting from a period of frustration into a period of empowerment. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You are in harmony with the intelligent flow of life. You understand that every delay, every twist, every unexpected turn is perfectly timed to maximize the impact of your fulfillment. Now, if that Mishka stampa saki, you are ready. Now, if that Mishka stands over you, cast a stone. Faith in divine timing also teaches you to remain steadfast in your inner state, regardless of external appearances. Life cannot contradict what has already been assumed in consciousness. Your inner certainty, your assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, is the signal that guides the unseen forces of the universe. The outer world may lag, but it is only catching up with the state you have already established within. The more unwavering your faith, the swifter and smoother the manifestation. This is why patience and persistence are inseparable from the principle of divine timing. Understanding divine timing allows you to move through life with confidence, grace, and peace. You no longer rush, struggle, or despair, because you know that every moment is working for you, arranging the circumstances in the exact way necessary to bring your desire to life. When you trust this timing, You align yourself with the invisible current of creation. You recognize that your desire is already fulfilled in the unseen, and all that remains is for the outer world to reflect it. Faith in divine timing transforms waiting into assurance, doubt into trust, and desire into inevitable reality, ensuring that everything unfolds perfectly in your favor. As we reflect on the truths we have explored today, remember this: everything is already shifting in your favor. Your inner belief shapes the world around you. The unseen forces are quietly rearranging circumstances, and persistence in feeling ensures that what you desire becomes inevitable. By releasing resistance, trusting the process, living in the end through your imagination, and having faith in divine timing, you align yourself with the effortless flow of life. The universe is conspiring on your behalf, orchestrating every detail to bring your dreams into manifestation. Your role is not to struggle or doubt, but to assume, to feel, and to trust, knowing that the reality you envision is already yours. So, do not give up. Stand firm in your vision, persist in your belief, and embrace the invisible currents working tirelessly for your good. Every moment, every event, every encounter is a step closer to the life you have imagined. The shift is happening, the alignment is taking place, and your fulfillment is inevitable. Thank you for opening your heart and mind today, for allowing these words to inspire belief and courage within you. May you move forward with unwavering faith, persistent feeling, and the certainty that life is working for you in ways beyond your imagination. Thank you. Something invisible is happening right now, a sacred movement beneath the surface of your life, quiet yet unstoppable. The shift has begun. The very energy of the universe is turning in your favor. The tides that once resisted you are now carrying you toward everything you once dreamed of. What you've prayed for, imagined, and longed to see is already in motion. You may not see all the signs yet, but they are forming behind the veil. Life doesn't announce its blessings before they arrive. It rearranges itself in silence. Every delay that frustrated you was never a denial, it was preparation. Every closed door was a divine detour leading you to the one that opens easily. Every moment you stayed faithful when nothing moved, that was when the heavens took note. The universe mirrors your conviction, not your circumstances. The moment you shifted within, the moment you stopped doubting and started knowing, creation began responding. You became aligned with what was already yours. Your belief became the command that moved mountains. The invisible hand of destiny started setting things in order, guiding the right people, the right opportunities, and the right timing into your path. This is not the same season you were in before. The energy has changed. You've entered a divine rhythm where resistance turns into flow. Life no longer feels like a battle because you've stopped wrestling with appearances. You've learned that to win in life, you must first win in imagination. To receive, you must first rest in the knowing that it's already done. Every apparent setback is now a setup for elevation. Every unanswered prayer is about to be fulfilled in a higher form. Every delay was heaven's way of saying, "Not yet, because I'm preparing something better." The shift is not coming, it has already begun. You are walking through doors you once knocked on in vain. You are meeting people who carry keys to your next level. You are stepping into moments that feel like destiny because they are. From this point on, carry yourself as one who has already received. Speak as if it's finished. Move as if the way is made. Feel as if you are already there, because in truth you are. The outer world is simply catching up to your inner decision. Everything is working in your favor now. The unseen has said yes. The energy has turned. The promise is alive. And as you rest in this awareness, watch how effortlessly life unfolds. The struggle ends where certainty begins. This is your moment. The shift has begun, and it's all working for you, not against you. The universe has conspired. The path is open, and your time has come. Walk in it with quiet confidence, knowing that the unseen power that called you to rise is the same power ensuring that you do. The unseen shift has already begun. Your outer world is aligning with your inner belief. What you once could only imagine in silence is now beginning to take form in the physical. It may not yet be visible to your eyes, but the vibration of your life has changed. The unseen world responds not to effort, but to alignment. The moment your inner conviction shifted from doubt to faith, from hoping to knowing, something profound began to move in your favor. Reality itself started rearranging to reflect your inner state. Everything around you is a mirror. The people you meet, the circumstances you face, the opportunities that arise, all of it echoes the frequency of what you hold within. When you were uncertain, life mirrored uncertainty. When you felt undeserving, you met closed doors. But when your inner vision became clear, when you finally decided that what you desire is already yours, the mirror began to reflect a different image. The outer world had no choice but to comply. This is the law of creation. The world you see is a shadow of the world you hold in consciousness. You cannot change the shadow by touching it. You must change the light that casts it. When you shift inwardly, life must follow. There is no delay in the unseen realm. There is only the time it takes for the visible world to catch up with what has already been decreed within you. You might still be walking through familiar surroundings, but notice how everything feels different. The same streets carry a new vibration. The same conversations begin to open unexpected doors. The same opportunities that once slipped away now seem to reach for you. This is not coincidence, it is correspondence. Life is responding to the new you, the one who believes without hesitation, the one who knows that all things are already working together for good. Do not be fooled by appearances. The physical world is the slowest to change, but change it must. It cannot resist the power of your inner transformation. Every time you hold the feeling of your fulfilled desire, you are imprinting a new pattern onto reality. The energy around you begins to shape itself into form, piece by piece, moment by moment, until what you once imagined becomes undeniable fact. To remain still and certain. You do not need to chase, force, or struggle. The shift has already begun. Your faith has done the work, and the universe is now in motion to deliver what you have already accepted as truth. Every obstacle is dissolving. Every delay is turning into divine timing. All things are converging in perfect order to match your inner belief. Trust the unseen process. Feel it as done, and it will be done. For the outer world is but the echo of your inner song. And now that you are singing a new melody, one of faith, power, and certainty, life itself is dancing to your rhythm. What once felt delayed was divine preparation for your greater unfolding. Every moment you thought was wasted was actually sacred time. Time the universe used to shape you, refine you, and align you with what you were truly meant to receive. The waiting was never punishment, it was positioning. The path wasn't denied to you, it was being prepared for you, and you were being prepared for it. When you asked for growth, you didn't realize that growth often hides inside silence. When you asked for strength, you didn't know it would come through endurance. When you prayed for elevation, you didn't expect it to require surrender. Yet, everything that seemed to slow you down was in fact pulling you into alignment with a higher version of yourself, the one capable of holding the blessing you asked for. You see, destiny cannot deliver what you are not yet ready to carry. The delay was divine timing disguised as disappointment. You were never behind schedule. You were being synchronized with purpose. Every seeming setback was a sacred setup. The unanswered prayers, the closed doors, the detours that confused you. They were all recalibrations from the unseen, leading you to the precise place where your desire and your readiness could meet in perfect harmony. Had things come earlier, you might have doubted your worth or mishandled the opportunity. You might have settled too soon or moved from fear instead of faith. But because of the delay, you learned to trust without proof. You learned to walk by inner conviction rather than outer evidence. You develop the stillness that anchors miracles and the faith that commands them. That waiting season taught you who you are, not someone desperate for change, but someone powerful enough to create it. The divine works differently than the world. It builds you before it blesses you. It refines your vision before revealing the outcome. It clears away what doesn't belong so you can fully receive what does. That's why the delay was never random. It was sacred order. The universe was clearing your path, shifting the pieces, and aligning the timing so that when your breakthrough arrived, it would stay. Now you can look back and see it, the wisdom in the waiting. Every closed door was protection. Every redirection was guidance. Every pause was preparation for the leap that's coming next. The foundation beneath your life has been quietly strengthened. The unseen has been setting the stage for your emergence. And now the unfolding begins. So release the idea that you were ever late. Nothing is lost, nothing was wasted. The delay was divine, and you are now stepping into the very moment it was designed to prepare you for. What once felt like waiting has turned into arrival. What once felt like silence has become a song of victory. The preparation is complete, and your greater unfolding is now in motion. You are now standing in the vibration of answered prayer. Nothing is against you anymore. The energy around you has shifted, and whether you can see it or not, everything is working in divine harmony. The struggle that once consumed your thoughts is dissolving because your inner state has changed. You are no longer begging the universe to move. You are resting in the knowing that it already has. The prayer you once whispered in desperation has now become your living reality because you finally became one with the feeling of its fulfillment. When you prayed, the answer was given instantly, but it could not reach you until you rose into the vibration of belief. The universe never withholds. It responds to frequency. The moment you stopped asking from lack and began thanking from completion, the energy around you began to shift. You stopped speaking from waiting and started living from receiving. That's when the invisible doors opened. That's when resistance broke. You are now standing where everything flows to you with ease, because nothing within you is pushing it away. You are no longer fighting what is or fearing what may come. You have entered a state of inner harmony where your desires and your faith walk hand in hand. You are not chasing, you are allowing. You are not hoping, you are knowing. And that knowing radiates a frequency that draws every good thing toward you effortlessly. Nothing is against you anymore because you no longer believe in opposition. You have learned that the world mirrors your state of being. When you felt small, life reflected obstacles. When you felt unworthy, life echoed that belief. But now that you stand in your power, life must bend to the energy of your certainty. You are no longer at war with your circumstances, for you understand that they are simply responding to you. The outer world cannot oppose the one who stands firm in faith. You have entered the vibration of answered prayer, the feeling that it is already done. And in that feeling, there is peace. You don't need to control, you don't need to prove, you don't even need to understand. You simply need to remain aligned with gratitude, joy, and quiet confidence. From this state, life unfolds in divine order. The right people show up. The perfect timing reveals itself. What once seemed impossible becomes effortless. So release any lingering fear. Let go of every doubt that tries to whisper otherwise. The universe has already said yes to you. You are not waiting for the blessing. You are the blessing unfolding. Every cell of your being vibrates with fulfillment, and that vibration is calling everything you desire into form. Walk forward, knowing that nothing is against you anymore. Not the past, not circumstances, not time. You are one with divine favor now, standing in the living answer of every prayer you've ever spoken. Your state of being is the magnet that draws all favorable conditions. Life does not respond to what you say you want, it responds to what you are. The universe listens not to words, but to vibration, to the quiet hum of your inner world. Every thought, every emotion, every belief you carry sends out an energetic signal that shapes your experience. The world is not happening to you, it is echoing you. What you radiate within becomes the magnet that attracts everything you see without. When your state of being is rooted in peace, life reflects harmony. When it's filled with gratitude, doors open easily. But when it's clouded with fear, lack, or doubt, the reflection must match that too. This is why transformation begins inwardly, not externally. You cannot fight circumstances and win, but you can shift your inner frequency and watch circumstances align themselves. The universe is not withholding your desires. It's simply waiting for you to become a match to them. Think of your state as an atmosphere. When you walk in the energy of faith, assurance, and joy, you create an atmosphere where miracles feel at home. Favor flows naturally because there is no inner resistance. The things you desire are drawn to you not because you chase them, but because you embody the feeling of already having them. You don't need to force outcomes. Your being itself is the magnet. The mistake most people make is trying to change the world while staying the same within. They beg for abundance while vibrating scarcity. They speak of love but dwell in loneliness. They chase success while holding beliefs of unworthiness. But the universe cannot be deceived. It mirrors precisely what you believe to be true about yourself. The moment you change your inner self-concept, the moment you feel abundant, loved, successful, and blessed, everything around you reorganizes to reflect that truth. This is why peace is powerful. When you rest in the knowing that life is for you, not against you, you stop emitting the vibration of fear You start radiating confidence, and confidence attracts solutions. You start feeling deserving, and deserving energy attracts opportunity. You start loving life, and life begins loving you back. So pay attention not to appearances, but to how you feel. Your feelings are the compass of creation. When you lift your inner state through gratitude, visualization, and faith, you lift your entire life. Conditions that once resisted you begin to move. People shift, doors open, timing synchronizes. Nothing changes because you forced it. It changes because your vibration called it into harmony. You are magnetic. You are not separate from the good you seek. You are its source. When your inner world glows with certainty, joy, and peace, life has no choice but to mirror it. Everything you desire, love, abundance, success, opportunity, is already orbiting you, waiting for one thing. The moment your state of being rises to meet it, life rearranges itself to match the conviction of your inner certainty. The moment you decide something within you, truly decided, the outer world begins to bend in that direction. Circumstances that once seemed immovable begin to shift. People show up, timing aligns, opportunities appear out of nowhere. This is not luck, it is law. Life cannot resist the force of unwavering conviction. When you stand in the knowing that your desire is already yours, the universe has no choice but to mirror that knowing back to you. Everything in your experience is a reflection of what you believe to be true. The world is a mirror, not a maker. It doesn't create your destiny, it reflects the story you hold in consciousness. When you waver, it wavers. When you doubt, it delays. But when you stand firm in faith, life rushes to confirm it. Your conviction becomes the blueprint from which reality takes form. That is why nothing external needs to change first. You do. The moment you shift inwardly, reality begins to catch up. True certainty is not arrogance or stubbornness. It is calm assurance. It is the quiet, unshakable knowing that what you have imagined is already unfolding. It does not look for signs because it is the sign. It does not seek validation because it is validated from within. This kind of faith doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't beg, it commands. The person who is certain does not ask if the promise will come. They live as though it already has. And life, ever faithful, responds in kind. It begins to move in subtle yet undeniable ways. You find yourself in the right place at the right time. What once felt difficult becomes effortless. The people, ideas, and moments that once seemed far away are drawn into your orbit. You are no longer striving for alignment because you have become alignment itself. Life must rearrange to reflect your conviction. It cannot do otherwise. This is why inner certainty is more powerful than any outer effort. The person who believes they must struggle, strive, or beg will continue to meet resistance. But the one who stands still in faith commands a reality of ease. Conviction is creative power. It speaks silently but with authority, declaring to the universe, "It is done." And creation responds instantly, setting in motion the chain of events necessary to bring it into form. So stop trying to force outcomes. Instead, cultivate inner certainty. Let your thoughts, emotions, and actions flow from the state of already having received. Feel the fulfillment now. Walk as though your dream has already manifested, and life will begin to shape itself around that truth. The universe mirrors conviction. It rearranges itself not for the hesitant, but for the decided. Once you decide within that it's already yours, the unseen begins to orchestrate every detail. The invisible becomes visible. The impossible becomes natural. Life, as it always does, obeys the certainty of your inner belief. This is not the end of the old. It's the visible beginning of your new destiny. What feels like an ending is not destruction, it is transformation. The familiar is fading because something greater is taking form. The doors that closed were not rejections, they were signals that your time in that chapter has fulfilled its purpose. You have outgrown what once sustained the old season, no longer matches who you have become. Life is not breaking apart, it's breaking open. Every ending carries within it the seed of a beginning. The collapse you see is only the clearing required for the new to emerge. You cannot hold the next chapter while clinging to the last one. So the universe, in its infinite wisdom, gently removes what cannot walk with you into the new level of your becoming. It looks like loss, but it is liberation. It feels like chaos, but it is creation. Something sacred is unfolding beneath what your eyes can see. Your destiny is not behind you, it is being born through you. The things that once felt stable may be shifting because you are being realigned with your higher path. The very things that once gave you comfort are now being stripped away so that you may lean entirely into faith, into trust that what is coming is far greater than what is leaving. The dismantling is evidence of divine movement. You are stepping into a version of yourself that cannot be contained by the limitations of the past. The old self was necessary for a time. It taught you, prepared you, and shaped your strength. But now the vibration of your life has elevated. The dreams that once felt distant are now within reach because you are no longer the same person who first imagined them. You have grown in awareness, in wisdom, and in inner power. The old chapter could not hold the magnitude of who you are becoming. That is why it had to end. Not to break you, but to free you. This is the visible beginning of your new destiny. The signs are already here if you look closely. A shift in energy, a sense of readiness, a quiet confidence that something magnificent is unfolding. You are not standing in loss, you are standing in emergence. The path ahead may still seem uncertain, but that uncertainty is sacred. It means you are walking by faith now, not by sight. So release the urge to mourn what has passed, bless it, thank it, and let it go with love. It served its divine purpose. Stand tall in this moment of rebirth, knowing that the universe never takes without giving more in return. The old has fulfilled its function, and the new is rising in its place. This is your time of renewal, expansion, and ascension. You are not at the end. You are standing at the threshold of your divine beginning, where destiny finally reveals itself in form. And now, as we stand in this sacred moment of realization, understand this: the shift has already begun. The universe is not waiting for your permission, it is responding to your faith. Everything that once seemed delayed was divine preparation. Every silence was filled with purpose. Every step, even the painful ones, was guiding you here, to the threshold of your new destiny. You are no longer the seeker, you are the receiver. The unseen world has heard your every word, felt your every intention, and it has conspired in your favor. Life is aligning itself perfectly to match the conviction of your belief. You are now standing in the vibration of answered prayer, and nothing is against you anymore. The world around you is simply reflecting the power that has awakened within you. So walk forward with peace in your heart and certainty in your mind. Trust that what is yours cannot be taken, delayed, or denied. This is your time. This is your season. The old has fallen away. and the new has already begun to rise. From this point on, expect the miraculous, expect favor, expect everything to work in your favor, because it already is. Your only task now is to remain in gratitude, to give thanks not because you are waiting to receive, but because you already have. The evidence may still be forming, but the truth is established. The unseen has spoken. The shift is complete. Thank you for listening. Stay in faith, stay in peace, and remember, everything is working in your favor now. Everything you behold in your outer world is but the echo of your inner vibration. Your frequency creates everything. It is not chance, not fate, not blind circumstance that arranges your life. It is the silent song you are continually singing within. Your thoughts, fused with feeling, generate the frequency upon which the universe builds the stage of your reality. To change your life, you must change your inner music. If you are rehearsing fear, worry, and lack, life will faithfully mirror those tones. If you live in the frequency of abundance, gratitude, and fulfilled desire, life cannot help but reflect the harmony of that state. For the law is exact. Like attracts like. Frequency calls unto frequency. Imagination is not idle daydreaming. It is the instrument by which you tune your vibration. To imagine with conviction is to step into the frequency of already being, already having, already living. And once you inhabit that vibration, the world must rearrange itself to correspond. This is why your inner state is not a mere pastime. It is creation itself. Consider this. When you assume the feeling of love, even before love arrives in form, the world begins to respond to you with kindness, warmth, and attraction. When you persist in the state of wealth, even before the evidence appears, opportunities, ideas, and channels begin to flow. The outer does not cause the inner gives birth to the outer. Do not measure your faith by today's appearances, for appearances are only shadows of yesterday's vibration. Instead, sustain your frequency with patience and certainty, knowing that persistence is the secret ingredient. A seed does not sprout overnight, yet it cannot be denied. So it is with your inner assumption. The harvest is inevitable. Your life is your canvas, and your frequency is the brush. Paint not with complaint, but with conviction. Do not beg life to change. Command it by dwelling in the vibration of already being. Whatever you dare to inwardly claim, if persisted in, will one day walk across the stage of your experience. So I say to you, guard your frequency as the sacred power it is. Choose it deliberately. Live as though your desire is already accomplished. And watch how the unseen harmonies you hold within compose the symphony of your world. Consciousness is the fertile ground from which all things grow, the invisible root of every visible experience in life. What you encounter outwardly is never random. It is always the outpicturing of what has been cultivated within. The mind, when occupied with a state, produces experiences that echo that state. Every event, every meeting, every condition you call life begins not in the external world, but in the silent corridors of your own awareness. To understand this is to recognize that you are not a victim of circumstance, but the very author of it. When you live in fear, anxiety, or doubt, you inhabit a state of mind that naturally attracts experiences aligned with those vibrations. It is not punishment, it is law. Life reflects back to you the inner atmosphere you sustain. Just as the seed once planted grows according to its kind, your consciousness unfolds into the likeness of the thoughts and feelings you nurture most often. If you plant seeds of despair, you cannot expect a harvest of joy. If you plant seeds of confidence, peace, and love, the soil of consciousness cannot help but yield a life abundant in these qualities. The unseen always precedes the seen. You do not first see change in your environment before you shift within. Instead, you shift within and the environment bends to reflect that shift. To try to alter circumstances while ignoring your inner state is to attempt to change the fruit without addressing the root. You may prune a branch here and there, but until the seed changes, the tree remains the same in essence. Consciousness is the seed, and no effort in the external world can override what you carry in the invisible world of self. Think of how imagination works. When you imagine with feeling, you are sowing seeds into the soil of your consciousness. If you persist in that vision, holding it as real in your inner world, it begins to solidify into experience. This is why daydreams infused with emotion are so powerful. They are not idle fancies, but formative acts of creation. Every mental picture held with conviction is a seed taking root. And once it is rooted, life must yield its fruit in due season. This principle explains why two people may walk through the same circumstances and yet experience entirely different realities. One perceives opportunity, the other sees only lack. One lives in hope, the other in despair. It is not the world that differs, but the seed each one carries. For reality is filtered and shaped by the consciousness inhabiting it. Change the seed, and the harvest must follow. The greatest mistake is to believe that the outer world is the cause and your inner state the effect. It is the reverse. The unseen inner world is primary, and the outer world is its shadow. Shadows cannot cast themselves, they follow the object. Likewise, circumstances cannot create themselves, they follow the seed of consciousness within you. To grasp this truth is to hold the key to transformation. For when you deliberately choose the seeds you plant, when you consciously inhabit the state of being you desire, you take command of creation itself. Imagination is not a mere pastime of the mind, nor a fleeting escape from reality. It is the workshop of creation, the hidden architect of your life. Every image you hold with feeling, every scene you replay with conviction, becomes the blueprint from which your reality is constructed. What you dwell upon inwardly, especially when charged with emotion, takes root in the unseen and crystallizes outwardly into form. The outer world is not the cause but the consequence. Imagination is the origin of all that you encounter. When you imagine, you are not simply entertaining thoughts, you are planting seeds. The mind, when infused with belief, impresses upon the deeper layers of consciousness the pattern of the idea. That pattern becomes the frequency you radiate, and by the law of correspondence, life responds. Imagine poverty and you find lack knocking at your door. Imagine abundance and doors open where before there were walls. The world is pliable, but it bends not to wishful thinking. It bends to sustained, imaginative conviction. The secret lies not in idle fantasy, but in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. To imagine yourself wealthy while secretly holding the vibration of lack is to cancel the creative act. But to imagine wealth and live inwardly as though it were already true, Feeling the relief, the freedom, the joy sets into motion the unseen forces that reshape your outer circumstances. Life must mirror the inner state, for it has no choice. You cannot occupy a vibration inwardly without summoning its likeness outwardly. Consider how this operates in the small details of daily life. A person who constantly imagines rejection will often walk into situations already radiating the expectation of being unwanted, and others unconsciously respond to that frequency. Another person who imagines being loved and valued moves with an air of confidence that naturally draws affection. Nothing has changed on the outside except the imaginal act. Yet that invisible change alters the entire script of life. Imagination is not bound by the limitations of the present moment. It sees beyond appearances and pulls the unseen into possibility. A man in prison can imagine freedom until the walls lose their power over him. A woman in sickness can imagine vitality until health begins to rise within her. These inner acts are not delusions, they are rehearsals of creation. When persisted in, they become reality. The outer world must eventually align with the inner world, for imagination is the womb of all experience. The greatest power lies in persistence. A single moment of imagining may stir hope, but sustained imagination engraves reality. It is like carving into stone with each repetition, deepening the impression until the world itself conforms. Every invention, every work of art, every movement of progress began first as an image in the mind. The airplane was once a dream, the light bulb a picture in thought, the great structures of civilization sketches in imagination, long before they stood in stone and steel. So it is with your life. The question is not whether imagination works, it is whether you will dare to use it consciously. For whether you believe it or not, you are imagining now. Your future is already being shaped by the images you dwell upon today. If you are to create deliberately, you must learn to guide your imagination, to dwell not on fear, but on faith, not on what is lacking, but on what is already fulfilled within. Hold the vision, feel it real, persist in it, and you will watch the invisible crystallize into the visible, proving that imagination shapes reality. Assumption is more than mere thought. It is the state you clothe yourself in, the frequency you inhabit as though it were already real. Words without embodiment are hollow. You may say, I am prosperous, but if inwardly you continue to feel lack, then lack is the assumption you truly live in. The vibration that creates does not respond to lip service. It responds to the deep felt conviction of already being what you assume yourself to be. With feeling becomes the lens through which you experience the world. And in time, that assumption hardens into fact. Living in assumption means carrying yourself inwardly as though your desire were already accomplished. It is not hoping or waiting for the future. It is claiming the end now. To assume love is not to beg for it or wonder when it will arrive. It is to feel the warmth, the belonging, the joy of already being loved. To assume success is not to anxiously look for opportunities. It is to walk in the dignity and confidence of one who already is successful. The outer world, by law, eventually bends to reflect the inner state that you consistently sustain. The power of assumption is that it bypasses effort and enters directly into being. Many exhaust themselves trying to manipulate circumstances, forcing results through action alone. But assumption operates differently. It shifts the frequency first. Once the inner state is held, circumstances align naturally, often with surprising ease. A man who assumes health begins to act, eat, and move as though he were already well, and his body gradually conforms. A woman who assumes wealth carries herself with abundance, makes decisions from security, and attracts opportunities that mirror her inner vibration. It is important to note that assumption is not pretending. Pretending keeps the desire at a distance, acknowledging that it is not yet real. Assumption, on the other hand, collapses the gap. It is the inner knowing that what you seek is already yours. This is why feeling is essential. Without feeling, assumption is an empty declaration. With feeling, assumption is a frequency that reverberates through your entire being. The danger lies in unconsciously assuming states you do not want. Many live in the assumption of failure, rejection, or unworthiness. They do not declare it aloud, yet they carry themselves inwardly as though it were true. And because the vibration is sustained, life faithfully reflects it back. The law is impartial. It does not distinguish between assumptions you choose deliberately or those you allow by default. It simply echoes the frequency you hold. To master assumption, you must practice dwelling in the end. Each time doubt arises, return to the feeling of already having. Each time fear speaks, silence it with the inner conviction of fulfillment. Persist in this state and it becomes natural, automatic, effortless. The outer world cannot resist the vibration you consistently inhabit. It must give form to the assumption you live by. So the question becomes, what frequency are you assuming right now? Not what do you wish for, not what do you hope may come, but what are you living inwardly as true? For that is the frequency that is shaping your tomorrows. Life is a mirror, faithfully reflecting the tone of your inner dialogue and the quality of your emotional state. The world you see around you is not separate from the world you hold within. Your conversations with yourself, the words you whisper in silence, the images you replay in your mind, the emotions you continually nurture, become the vibration that life echoes back to you. To experience outer harmony, you must first cultivate inner harmony, for the outer cannot sing a different song than the one already playing within. When the inner dialogue is filled with criticism, self-doubt, or fear, the world responds accordingly. People treat you as you unconsciously expect them to, situations arise that mirror your unrest, and life seems to confirm your deepest insecurities. It is not that the world conspires against you, rather it simply reflects the assumptions and feelings you carry within. If you are always inwardly arguing, condemning, or worrying, you cannot expect peace in the outer circumstances. The mirror can only reflect the face presented to it. On the other hand, when your inner tone is one of kindness, gratitude, and confidence, life responds with grace. People show up in ways that affirm your worth, doors open, and the atmosphere of your days becomes lighter. This is not coincidence, it is alignment. The frequency of your inner state sets the rhythm to which the outer world must dance. Just as a calm lake reflects the sky clearly, so too does a calm mind reflect harmony in the events of life. Inner harmony is not about ignoring challenges, but about choosing the state from which you meet them. Two people can face the same difficulty. One collapses under the weight of fear, while the other responds with resilience and peace. The difference lies in their inner dialogue. One tells himself he cannot. The other assures himself that all things are possible. And life reflects each back according to their inner script. The world bends not to what you say aloud, but to what you continually say in silence. Your emotional state is the atmosphere in which your life unfolds. If you live in constant agitation, everything feels sharp and hostile. If you live in inner rest, even difficulties carry a hidden blessing. The outer world, with all its people and events, is the great stage upon which your inner harmony or disharmony plays out. Change the tone within, and the performance of life rearranges itself without force. This is why true transformation is an inward act. To demand peace from the outer world while neglecting the war within is futile. But to bring peace to your inner dialogue, to saturate it with affirmations of love, gratitude, and wholeness, is to invite peace into every corner of your reality. When the heart is still, life becomes still. When the mind is serene, guard your inner speech as carefully as you guard your actions. Choose thoughts that soothe rather than wound. Cultivate emotions that uplift rather than drain. Persist in harmony within, and you will see harmony multiplied without. For life is a mirror, and it cannot help but reflect what you are within. Persistence is the bridge between desire and fulfillment. To merely wish for a thing is to touch it lightly and then let it slip away. But to persist in the inner state of already having is to anchor yourself in the vibration that must eventually harden into fact. Frequency is not established by a momentary thought or a fleeting feeling. It is built through repeated, steadfast occupation of the desired state until it becomes natural to you. What you return to again and again is what shapes your reality. Many give up too quickly. They imagine once, they feel once, and then, when evidence does not appear immediately, they declare the process does not work. Yet they misunderstand the nature of creation. A seed does not sprout the instant it is planted. It requires time in the soil, nourished by care and belief, until it breaks through and becomes visible. So it is with inner states. The moment you assume the feeling of already being what you desire, the seed is, but persistence is a nourishment that ensures the seed matures. Without it, the sprout withers before it has the chance to bloom. Persistence does not mean strain. It means returning again and again to the state of fulfillment, regardless of appearances. Appearances are deceptive because they are only the shadow of past vibrations. If you look only at today's circumstances, you may grow discouraged. But the wise understand that the outer world lags behind the inner. Persist in the inner state long enough, and the outer will inevitably conform. The law cannot be broken. The challenge lies in sustaining the vibration when the senses scream the opposite. To persist in abundance while bills pile high. To persist in love while loneliness surrounds you. To persist in health while pain still lingers. This is the true act of faith. It is not blind faith, but creative faith. The knowing that the unseen is more powerful than the seen. The unseen, once persisted in, becomes the seen. Over time, persistence transforms assumption into identity. At first, imagining yourself wealthy or loved may feel strange, like a garment that does not yet fit. But the more you persist, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, the state feels so natural that you no longer struggle to maintain it. It has become who you are. And when the state is natural, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. Persistence also shields you from doubt. Doubt may visit, appearances may challenge, but if you are steadfast, these distractions lose their power. You become anchored in the unseen reality, unshaken by the passing storms of circumstance. The wind may howl, but you remain rooted in the state you have chosen, and in time the storm clears to reveal the harvest of your persistence. So I tell you, do not be discouraged by delay, and do not measure your progress by the surface of life. Keep returning day after day to the inner occupation of your fulfilled desire. Live in it, breathe in it, speak from it until it is second nature. Persistence is the secret ingredient that transforms invisible frequency into undeniable fact. For what you persist in inwardly, you will one day stand amidst outwardly. Creation is not uncertain, nor is it selective. It is inevitable. The universe operates by law, not by chance, and that law declares that whatever you consistently radiate within must externalize. Frequency never returns void. Just as sound waves find resonance, so too do the vibrations of your inner state call forth their likeness in the outer world. To believe otherwise is to misunderstand the nature of life. Every persistent feeling, every assumption, lived in repeatedly, must find its counterpart in form. You are always radiating something, even in silence, even in stillness, your inner state is speaking loudly to the universe. If that state is one of fear, life arranges itself to give you experiences that justify your fear. If that state is one of joy, opportunities appear that match your joy. The law does not fail. It cannot fail. Just as the ground must yield the seed that is planted within it, so must life yield the fruit of the consciousness you continually occupy. This inevitability is both a warning and a promise. It is a warning because it means you cannot indulge in destructive inner states without eventually seeing them reflected outwardly. You cannot habitually dwell in bitterness, envy, or despair and expect a life filled with peace and harmony. The harvest will always match the seed. But it is also a promise, an unshakable guarantee that when you persist in noble, uplifting, and fulfilling inner states, life will bow to reflect them. No force, no circumstance, no obstacle can prevent the inevitable flowering of a seed faithfully planted and nurtured. Some grow impatient, looking for instant results, forgetting that inevitability does not mean immediacy. A seed does not bloom the same day it is sown, yet its blooming is certain. So it is with the states you inhabit. Persist long enough in the vibration of already being, and the externalization becomes unavoidable. The world around you must rearrange itself to mirror what you have chosen within. This is not hope. It is law. The beauty of this principle is that it removes all struggle. You do not have to fight against the world, manipulate people, or force circumstances to bend. You need only to persist inwardly in the frequency of what you desire, knowing that creation is already underway. The unseen is as real, indeed more real than the seen. For the seen is only the outgrowth of the unseen, and the unseen, once felt consistently, must break through the soil of time and space to stand visible before your eyes. This inevitability also means that your future is not something you wait for passively, but something you are shaping in every moment. The thoughts you dwell upon today, the emotions you nurture now, are the seeds of tomorrow's experience. Nothing is wasted, nothing is ignored. Every vibration you sustain leaves its imprint upon creation, and in due season you meet it as fact. Therefore, let your inner radiance be chosen deliberately. Do not scatter seeds of fear and wonder why thorns appear. Plant only what you wish to harvest, and trust the law to bring it forth. For creation is inevitable. Your frequency is the architect, and life is the obedient builder. What you consistently hold within, you will inevitably behold without. Every truth we have explored returns to one central revelation. Life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. Consciousness is the seed, imagination is the blueprint, assumption is the frequency, inner harmony is the reflection, persistence is the nourishment, and creation is the inevitable harvest. Nothing in your outer world exists apart from the vibration you sustain within. The world is your mirror, faithfully reflecting the states you inhabit most deeply. The great invitation is to live deliberately, to stop drifting in unconscious states of fear and doubt, and to awaken to the truth that you are the author of your experience. If you wish for love, then embody the frequency of love. If you long for abundance, then occupy the state of already having. If you seek peace, then dwell in inner stillness until peace overflows. Life cannot resist you, for it must mirror back the frequency you radiate. Remember, fleeting wishes and occasional hopes carry little power. It is your steadfast inner occupation, your persistence in feeling the wish fulfilled, that transforms imagination into reality. You need not struggle, you need not force. You need only to choose your state and remain faithful to it. The unseen will crystallize into the seen, and what you dare to hold within will one day surround you without. So let this not be mere words, but a call to action. Begin now. Choose deliberately the seed you plant, the state you assume, the inner harmony you sustain. Persist until it becomes natural, for creation is inevitable, and your frequency is its command. In turtle, I forgive you, so let this night draw. Thank you. Today, I want you to enter a deeper truth. Your manifestation is not coming someday, it is entering your reality today, in this moment, in this breath, in this shift within you right now. Everything you have been desiring, imagining, and calling toward you has already been formed in the unseen. What you call your future is simply a completed pattern awaiting your acceptance. And the moment you assume it as done fully, quietly, confidently, it begins its journey into visibility. Today marks a turning point because you are no longer the person waiting. You are the person receiving. Reality does not change through effort, it changes through identity. When you change how you see yourself, you change what can enter your life. When you decide that the desire is already yours, your world reorganizes itself around that decision. People shift, circumstances move, paths open, and the invisible starts to take form around the new state you occupy. Your senses might try to argue, they may show you remnants of what you used to believe, but understand this, the world you see is old news. It is a shadow of your past assumptions. It is not your destiny. It is not your prophecy. It is simply an echo. And today, you stop answering echoes. You no longer look to the physical world for reassurance. You look within. You return to the inner feeling of, it is done, and you stay there. Not with strain, not with effort, but with a quiet certainty. A certainty that grows every time you choose the end instead of the doubt. A certainty that strengthens every time you reject the old self and step into the version of you who already has what you desire. Feel the reality of your wish fulfilled. Hear the words you longed to hear. See the outcome you once only hoped for. Let it be real to you, so real that the outer world must bend, must shift, must reshape itself to reflect your inner conviction. Today you become the one who already has it. Today you become the version of yourself that no longer hopes, but knows. Today the invisible becomes visible. Your manifestation is entering your reality not because the world has changed, but because you have. And once you make this shift, nothing can stop what is unfolding. Nothing can delay what is already yours. Nothing can interrupt what your inner world has accepted as truth. Walk forward today with a calm boldness. Hold the end as your reality. Speak from the state of fulfillment. Act from the identity of completion. And allow the world to catch up to the version of you that already exists, whole, complete, blessed, and receiving. Because whether you feel ready or not, whether the evidence is here or not, whether your old story tries to whisper its way back or not, your manifestation is entering your reality today. It has begun, and nothing can stop it now. When we speak of assuming the feeling of already receiving, we are talking about a radical shift in consciousness, one that transcends logic and reason and moves straight into the realm of inner knowing. Most people wait for the external world to confirm their desires as if reality is the judge of what they can have. But the truth is far more profound. The world is not the source of your blessings. Your inner state is. Everything you wish for, every dream you hold, exists first and foremost in the unseen realm. It is formed in your imagination long before it manifests in the physical. To assume the feeling of already receiving is to align yourself with that unseen reality, to take it as complete and real even when your senses insist otherwise. It is the conscious act of stepping into the end of your desire, of living as if it is already done. When you do this, a remarkable transformation occurs. Your mind, which was once a field of doubt and hesitation, becomes a fertile ground for creation. You stop arguing with the evidence of your senses and begin to live in the certainty of the unseen. This is not mere positive thinking or wishful visualization. It is a deep, unwavering inner conviction that the thing you want is already yours. The feeling of already receiving acts like a magnetic force, drawing circumstances, people, and opportunities into alignment with your inner state. The universe responds to the vibration of your belief, and the external world begins to mirror the reality you have embraced within. It is crucial to understand that this is not about forcing or striving. There is no need for struggle or frantic effort. The assumption of the feeling of already receiving is a quiet, confident state. It is a knowing that surpasses reasoning, a stillness that radiates assurance. When you maintain this state, the outer world has no choice but to conform. You are no longer at the mercy of time, chance, or external event. Your inner acceptance becomes the only doorway through which the unseen can become seen. The moment you embody this feeling, you create a vacuum in which manifestation can enter. Most people fail to receive because they cling to the old self, the version of themselves that doubts, fears, or feels unworthy. To assume the feeling of already receiving is to leave that old self behind, to step fully into a new identity, the one that already has what it desires. Every thought, every emotion, every action begins to flow from this new state. You no longer look to the outside world for validation. Your fulfillment is internal, absolute, and complete. In this state, waiting becomes unnecessary because receiving has already occurred in consciousness. The law of imagination operates perfectly. What you accept as real in your inner world must manifest in the outer world. Until then, answer the question, Bishop, do you? To practice this daily is to live in a constant state of creation. You imagine with all the senses of your being, feel the joy, the gratitude, and the satisfaction of having your desire fulfilled, and hold that reality as true. In doing so, you align yourself with the natural process of manifestation. The unseen cannot remain invisible to one who has fully accepted it. Now, the feeling of already receiving is the key, the doorway, and the bridge between desire and reality. And when embraced, it transforms your life entirely, allowing every dream to take form in its perfect time. To truly step into the realm of manifestation, one must learn to detach from the evidence of the senses. Most people live as though their reality is determined by what they see, hear, touch, and experience externally. They mistake the physical world for the ultimate authority on what is possible, believing that if something is not yet visible or tangible, it is not real. But physical reality is never the origin of your desires. It is the result. It is the echo, the delayed effect of an inner state that has already been formed. The imagination is the true creative power, and the senses merely report back what has been accepted internally. To detach from the evidence of the senses is to recognize that the external world is not a judge, but a mirror, reflecting the state of consciousness within you. When you understand this, you begin to shift your focus from what is apparently true to what is eternally true in your inner world. The physical world may seem unyielding, slow, or contradictory, but this is only because it moves in accordance with your beliefs and assumptions, not with your wishes or desires alone. The outer world does not dictate what is possible, your imagination does. What is unseen is always ahead of what is seen, and when you anchor yourself in the inner reality, the external world is compelled to catch up. Detachment from the senses is not a denial of reality. It is an understanding that reality, as you perceive it, is temporary and flexible. It is a tool to be used, not a master to obey. This detachment requires faith, not faith in the world, but faith in the unseen. It requires the courage to hold on to what you desire despite contrary appearances. The senses may present obstacles, delays, or contradictions, but these are not failures. They are simply indicators of the delay between inner creation and outer manifestation. By refusing to accept the outward evidence as final, you maintain the purity of your inner vision. You continue to live and act as though your desire is already accomplished, refusing to be swayed by what has not yet materialized. This is the essence of inner mastery. To recognize that the unseen is more real than the seen, and to give your attention entirely to that which is true in imagination. Detachment from the senses also means freeing yourself from doubt, worry, and impatience. These feelings arise when we believe that what we see is the only truth. When you detach, you are no longer governed by appearances. You are free to create without resistance, to imagine without interference, and to hold steady in the certainty of your desired outcome. In this state, the external world becomes a canvas upon which the inner reality paints itself. The senses no longer dictate your possibilities. They merely witness the unfolding of what has already been accepted within. When you consistently detach from the evidence of the senses, you align with the natural law of creation. You understand that everything manifests first in consciousness and only later in the physical world. The unseen is the source. The seen is the reflection. Your task is to nurture the source, to live within it, and to trust that the reflection will inevitably follow. Physical reality may lag, but it can never deny what has been accepted and assumed in the mind. Detachment from the senses is the bridge between imagination and manifestation, the key to transforming your dreams into undeniable reality. To persist in the invisible is to understand the profound truth that your desire already exists in its perfect and complete form. It is not something you are waiting to obtain. It is something that has already been created within the realm of imagination. Most people become frustrated, discouraged, or doubtful when the external world does not immediately reflect what they long for. They look for signs, evidence, or confirmation. And when these are delayed, they waver. But the law of creation does not operate on the timetable of the senses. The invisible precedes the visible. Your desire, in its essence, is already finished. The only task before you is to remain faithful to that invisible reality, to hold it as real in your consciousness until it manifests. Persistence in the invisible requires unwavering loyalty to the end you have chosen. This is not a superficial affirmation or fleeting hope. It is a deep inner commitment. You must refuse to engage with doubts, fears, or old stories that suggest your desire is not possible. Every thought, every emotion, every action must be aligned with the assumption that your wish is already fulfilled. This is the discipline of the imagination, to remain steadfast in the unseen, even when the outer world suggests otherwise. The moment you falter, the manifestation is delayed, not because it is impossible, but because your inner state has shifted away from completion. When you persist in the invisible, you cultivate a consciousness that is immune to external contradictions. The world may seem slow, obstacles may appear, and circumstances may test your patience, but none of this can touch the reality that exists within you. Your inner vision is invincible, and your faith in it acts like a gravitational force, drawing all necessary elements toward realization. To persist is to trust the unseen completely, knowing that the law of imagination is infallible. Whatever you assume as real in your consciousness will inevitably express itself in the physical world. The unseen is the blueprint, the visible is the construction. Stay loyal to the blueprint, and the manifestation becomes inevitable. This persistence also demands that you cultivate a sense of inner peace and confidence. To remain faithful to the invisible does not require anxiety, effort, or struggle. It requires a quiet certainty, a calm knowing that your desire is already yours. You imagine with vivid clarity, feel the emotions of fulfillment, and live from that state every day. You do not look for confirmation from the outside. The unseen has no need for evidence. It is complete in itself. Your task is to remain aligned with it, to act, think, and feel from the end result, and to let the world catch up. To persist in the invisible is to honor the power of your own consciousness. It is to recognize that creation begins within, and that what is unseen is more real than what is seen. By staying loyal to the end you have chosen, you allow the universe to orchestrate every detail, to bring the right people, opportunities, and circumstances into alignment with your inner reality. This unwavering persistence is the secret that transforms dreams into facts, wishes into experience, and imagination into undeniable reality. Your desire is already complete. Your only responsibility is to remain faithful until it manifests. To allow the old self to fade is to understand that the life you desire cannot enter a mind still clinging to past limitations, old habits, or former identities. Most people carry with them a sense of who they were, replaying the memories of failure, disappointment, and restriction as if they define what is possible. Yet, the self that existed yesterday is not equipped to hold the blessings of today or tomorrow. The future you want requires a consciousness unburdened by what has already passed. It requires a clean slate of belief, an inner openness that allows the new to take root and flourish. Clinging to the old self is the greatest barrier to manifestation. For as long as you rehearse yesterday, you are blind to the reality that has already been created within your imagination. The fading of the old self begins with awareness. You must see the habits, beliefs, and thought patterns that no longer serve your highest vision. You must confront the mental scripts that replay limitations, lack, or failure, and recognize them as relics of a former identity. These scripts are not truths. They are echoes of a mind that once believed in restrictions. To hold on to them is to invite stagnation, to allow the past to dictate what your present and future can be. When you consciously release these old patterns, you create space for a new self to emerge. The self that already possesses the qualities, confidence, and identity of the fulfilled being you aspire to become. Letting the old self fade is also an act of courage, for it requires you to step into the unknown. The old self is familiar, comfortable, and predictable, even if it is limiting. The new self, by contrast, is born in imagination, in the unseen realm where your desires already exist. To nurture this new self, you must adopt thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that align with the fulfilled state you wish to experience. You must walk, speak, and act as the person who already has what you seek. Every action from this new identity strengthens the fading of the old, until the old self no longer holds sway over your consciousness. The process is not instantaneous, but it is relentless in its effect. Each time you reject doubt, fear, limitation, you dissolve a fragment of the old identity. Each time you affirm your new state, imagine your fulfillment vividly, or feel the emotions of having what you desire, the old self becomes more distant. The mind that once rehearsed scarcity now rehearses abundance. The heart that once clung to disappointment now beats with anticipation of what is already yours. The fading of the old self is not a denial of past experience. It is an acknowledgement that your past does not define your potential. It is a conscious release of the barriers that have kept you from living as the completed version of yourself. When the old self has faded, the new self occupies the mind fully. You are no longer pulled backward by fear, regret, or limitation. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions flow from a state of fulfillment and completion. In this state, the future you desire has the freedom to enter and manifest, unimpeded by the habits and beliefs of what has already passed. The fading of the old self is essential, for nothing new can be received while the mind rehearses the old. As you let go and step fully into your imagined reality, You create a powerful current that draws your desires from the invisible into the visible, transforming your life entirely. The moment you recognize that today is the turning point, you step into a profound truth. The external world is not the master of your reality, it is a reflection of your inner state. Too often, people wait for circumstances to change, for opportunities to appear, or for conditions to align before they allow themselves to feel complete. Yet every change in the outer world begins with a change within. When you shift your inner state, when you alter the way you feel, think, and perceive, you initiate a chain reaction that instantly begins to rearrange your external circumstances. Today is not just another day. It is the day your consciousness can pivot, the day you can decide that everything you desire is no longer a distant possibility, but a present reality within your mind. To understand this turning point is to grasp the power of inner transformation. Your outer world is simply a mirror reflecting the state of your consciousness. It does not create, it reflects. Therefore, waiting for external validation, approval, or evidence is a form of resistance. The true turning point occurs when you stop looking outward for confirmation and begin to look inward for assurance. The moment you assume the feeling of fulfillment, satisfaction, and completion, you signal to the universe or to the law of consciousness that the invisible is now your reality. The outer world, bound to follow the inner, begins to respond immediately, aligning people, situations, and events with the state you have chosen. This turning point requires a conscious decision. It is not accidental, it is deliberate. You must refuse to entertain doubt, fear, or old stories of limitation. You must embrace the certainty that your desires are already accomplished and allow this certainty to permeate your being. As you do, you notice subtle shifts. Doors open where there were walls, opportunities appear where there was delay, and people respond differently to your presence. These are the first signs that the inner shift is taking effect. The invisible has begun to express itself in the visible. Persistence is crucial even after the shift. Today is the turning point, but the outer manifestation will continue to evolve according to your inner fidelity. Every thought, every feeling, every action from this moment onward either reinforces the turning point or pulls you back into the old state. To remain aligned is to hold steady in the awareness that the desired reality is now your own, even if it has not yet fully appeared. The more completely you inhabit this inner state, the faster the outer world rearranges itself in accordance with it. This turning point is also liberating. It frees you from the tyranny of past disappointments, delays, and limitations. It frees you from waiting for a perfect time, a perfect sign, or a perfect condition. The moment you shift internally, the universe responds with perfect timing, bringing your desire into form in ways you may not yet imagine. Today, when you embrace this inner shift, is the day your life can change dramatically. Today is the day you move from waiting to receiving, from hoping to knowing, from dreaming to living the reality you have already imagined. When you step fully into this turning point, you no longer negotiate with the world. You act from certainty, you speak from completion, you think from fulfillment. And as your inner reality takes precedence, the outer reality inevitably bends, unfolds, and arranges itself in perfect alignment with the life you have long desired. Today is the turning point, and everything is about to follow. To walk as the one who has it now is to embody a truth that few truly understand. Reality is not a force outside of you dictating your experience. It is a mirror reflecting the state of your consciousness. Most people live as if fulfillment, success, love, or abundance are somewhere in the future, waiting for them to arrive. They think that by chasing circumstances or seeking external validation, they can finally have what they desire. Yet the true law of creation operates in reverse. The inner world shapes the outer world. When you carry the feeling, the knowing, and the consciousness of already having your desire, the outer world has no choice but to respond. It is not a matter of hoping, wishing, or striving. It is a matter of becoming the reality you wish to experience. Walking as the one who has it now begins in the mind and heart. You must imagine your desire fulfilled, feel it as real, and allow it to permeate every thought, emotion, and action. This is not a superficial act of pretending, it is a deep alignment with your fulfilled self. Every word you speak, every gesture you make, every decision you take flows from this state of completion. You do not act from lack, limitation, or need. You act from abundance, certainty, and wholeness. In this way, your inner state dictates the terms of your outer world. The world responds to the reality you inhabit, not the reality you wish were true. To embody fulfillment fully, you must also release attachment to timing, evidence, and appearances. The outer world may not immediately mirror your inner reality, and yet this does not diminish your state. You do not wait for signs or proof. The proof exists within you. You live, speak, and behave as the one who has already received, and in doing so, you create a magnetic force that draws circumstances, people, and opportunities into alignment. The universe or the law of consciousness has no choice but to match what has already been accepted internally. You become a living testament to the power of inner alignment, a force through which the unseen manifests naturally and inevitably. Walking as the one who has it now also transforms your identity. You are no longer the person who hopes, struggles, or doubts. You are the person who knows, acts, and expresses from fulfillment. This shift is profound because it changes the way you approach every situation. Obstacles no longer intimidate you. Delays no longer frustrate you, and other people's opinions no longer sway you. Your inner reality is unshakable, and the outer world must bend to it. You begin to navigate life with a calm certainty, a quiet authority that emanates from alignment rather than force. The more consistently you inhabit this state, the faster and more complete your manifestation becomes. Every thought and feeling reinforces your fulfilled state. Every action taken from this consciousness strengthens the reality you already possess internally. You are no longer waiting for the world to give you what you imagined. You have already given it to yourself. And because the inner and outer are always in perfect correspondence, the world adjusts naturally, harmoniously, and instantly. When you walk as the one who has it now, you live in a perpetual state of creation. Your inner world is rich, complete, and overflowing. Reality cannot resist, it must follow. Every step, every word, every breath becomes an act of manifestation. You are no longer a seeker, you are the fulfilled. The invisible is now visible, and the life you imagined is your life lived fully. As we bring this journey to a close, remember this truth. Everything you have imagined, everything you have desired, is not somewhere in the distant future. It is already complete in the unseen, waiting only for your inner acceptance to reveal it. Your reality is not shaped by circumstance, chance, or the opinions of others. It is shaped entirely by the state of your consciousness. When you assume the feeling of having already received, detach from the evidence of the senses, persist in the invisible, release the old self, embrace the turning point, and walk as the one who has it now, you align fully with the flow of creation itself. Your manifestation is not a dream, it is a present reality, unfolding as you hold steadfast in faith, certainty, and inner knowing. The outer world cannot resist the truth of the fulfilled state within you. As you continue to live from this place of completion, you will witness doors opening, opportunities appearing, and life rearranging itself in perfect harmony with your vision. Everything you have asked for, imagined, and longed for is entering your reality today because you have aligned yourself to receive it fully. Carry this awareness with you. Walk forward as the person who already possesses what has been sought. Speak, act, and feel from fulfillment, and let the world catch up to the reality you have created inside. There is no waiting, no hoping, no doubt, only knowing. The power to manifest has always been within you, and now you are ready to live it. Thank you for taking this journey today. May you embrace your fullness, step boldly into the reality you have imagined, and witness the miraculous unfolding of your desires. There comes a moment in every life when the invisible begins to rearrange itself for your favor. A moment when destiny starts moving, not loudly, not with chaos, but quietly, like the first light before sunrise. You may not see drastic change yet. You may still wake up in the same room, walk through the same challenges, face the same battles. But something has shifted. The energy has turned. The big win you have prayed for, believed for, prepared for is on its way. Your life does not change when the world changes. It changes when you do. When your inner assumptions shift, the world must follow. The victory does not come from outside forces deciding to be kind to you. It comes from the conviction within you rising like a giant and declaring, "My success is inevitable." When you claim something in your heart, the universe must deliver it into your hand. There is a law that governs all creation. What you assume as real becomes real. The moment you accepted that you are worthy of more, the moment you stop settling for less than what you desire, the moment you refuse to repeat the same old narrative, that's when the shift began. That's when the wind started moving toward you. Right now, while you're listening to these words, doors are unlocking that you cannot yet see. People are talking about your name in rooms you haven't entered. Opportunities that once seemed impossible are being aligned with your path. Everything is synchronizing for your good, orchestrated with precision beyond human understanding. You may have been in a long season of waiting, waiting for the healing, waiting for the breakthrough, waiting for the resources, waiting for the yes that changes everything. And perhaps this waiting made you doubt whether anything was happening at all. But the seed grows before the plant is visible. The shift happens before the blessing arrives. The answer forms before it reaches your hands. Do not judge your future by what your physical eyes see at the moment. The physical is always the last to show what has already been completed spiritually. There is a powerful truth you must hold. You are not chasing your big win. It is moving toward you. Life responds to who you believe yourself to be. If you believe you are chosen, favored, destined, life has no choice but to reflect that belief. The moment you accept peace, chaos loses power. The moment you accept abundance, lack collapses. The moment you accept success, failure becomes irrelevant. You do not need to fight for what is already yours. You only need to assume it and feel it fulfilled. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the victory already here. Imagine the message you will receive, the call that will change your path, the celebration of a new chapter. Feel the relief, the gratitude, the joy that comes when everything finally works out. When you feel the end as though it has already happened, the end must show itself. Your imagination is not daydreaming, it is the blueprint of your destiny. It is the place where things are created before they appear. Every great transformation begins in that inner world. Stand firm in your assumption that the tide has turned. Stand firm in your belief that things are shifting. Stand firm in your knowing that a big win is on its way now. You have come too far for the story to stop here. All the challenges, all the struggles, all the disappointments, they were not signs of failure, but signs of preparation. The pressure was shaping you into the version of yourself who is ready to hold the blessing. And when the blessing, you are stepping into a season where everything aligns effortlessly, where what once felt distant suddenly becomes obvious, where you look back and say, it was worth every moment of waiting. And in fact, it may seem your breakthrough is not a matter of chance. It's a matter of identity. You were designed for greatness. You were built for abundance. You were chosen for victory. And what is chosen must manifest. The moment you dared to believe in more, the universe responded. A major breakthrough has already been set in motion in the unseen. Long before you witness the change with your physical eyes, the transformation begins in the invisible realm. Every desire, every prayer, every dream you have held in your heart has already initiated a ripple of movement behind the scenes. What you believe, what you imagine, what you expect, these are not empty thoughts. They are creative forces. The moment you decided you wanted more, the moment you aligned your heart with a higher possibility, something in the unseen world responded. Breakthroughs rarely announce themselves at the beginning. They do not shout, they do not display. They develop quietly. Like a seed planted deep beneath the soil, growth happens without proof. There are no immediate signs, no explanations, no obvious validation. But still change is happening. The roots are forming, the foundation is being established. Just because you cannot see it yet does not mean it isn't already on its way to becoming real. Too often people doubt themselves in this invisible stage. They look around and see no evidence, so they assume nothing is working. They look at the same circumstances and think their prayer went unheard. But the unseen world is always a step ahead of the seen. What appears still in your life is actually shifting. What appears delayed is being delivered in perfect timing. What appears silent is quietly speaking favor over you. There are resources right now aligning with your path, resources you do not yet know exist. There are connections being orchestrated, people you haven't met who will be essential to your victory. There are opportunities preparing to intersect your life at the exact moment you are ready. Everything that belongs to you is already forming, already moving, already being arranged in your favor. Your belief is the activation. Every time you choose faith over fear, you lift the path higher. Every time you refuse to settle for what contradicts your desire, you magnetize what aligns with your purpose. Breakthrough does not begin when you see the outcome. It begins when you claim the outcome. It begins in the imagination, in the acceptance, in the inner knowing that what you desire is yours. The unseen is not uncertain. It is secure. It is the truest reality because it is not yet influenced by doubt or delay. The unseen carries pure intention. It carries your future success untouched by fear. That is why you must not give up just because you cannot track the progress. You do not need to see movement to trust that movement is happening. You only need to hold your belief steady long enough for the invisible to become visible. Right now, a major breakthrough is nearing completion in the realm you cannot yet touch. The moment is approaching when it will break through the surface and become undeniable. You will look back at this very season and realize that what you thought was stillness was preparation. What you felt was silence was orchestration. What looked empty was actually full of promise. Your breakthrough isn't waiting to start, it has already been set in motion. And soon, what was once unseen will show up as the greatest blessing of your life. Your inner shift, not outside circumstances, is what attracts the big win. All true change begins within you, not around you. So many people spend their lives trying to force the world to change in their favor, waiting for others to treat them better, waiting for opportunities to appear, waiting for luck to finally choose them. But the outer world does not transform until the inner world does. The moment you change how you see yourself, the moment you rise in your own belief, the moment you align your thoughts and feelings with the life you desire, that is when everything external begins to shift. Your assumptions about yourself are like magnets. If you assume lack, you attract lack. If you assume success, you attract success. Life mirrors what you believe you deserve, and belief is not formed by what you see, but by what you decide to accept as truth on the inside. You can be surrounded by challenges and still carry a victorious identity. You can face temporary setbacks and still feel unstoppable in your spirit. That inner stance is what calls the big win forth. The world you live in today is a reflection of the thoughts and assumptions you held yesterday. So when you want a new outcome, you don't look outward, you look inward. Transformation is not about forcing change, but becoming the version of yourself that naturally attracts it. When you upgrade your self-concept, when you stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles and begin to see yourself as someone who succeeds, everything in your reality must adjust. The inner shift is a declaration. It's the moment you stop asking whether you are capable and start knowing that you are. It is the moment you stop begging for blessings and start embodying the blessed version of yourself. It is the moment you stop waiting for permission and start claiming your destiny. As your internal identity rises, the outer world has no choice but to respond. A big win doesn't arrive because conditions are perfect. It arrives because you are in alignment. You are no longer doubting, hoping, or wishing. You are assuming, expecting, and feeling the end already fulfilled. When you live emotionally in the victory before it arrives physically, the universe confirms your assumption. Even if nothing around you visibly changes today, do not be fooled. The change has already begun inside you. Every doubt you replace with certainty strengthens the foundation for your breakthrough. Every fearful thought you replace with faith accelerates the manifestation. Every grateful feeling you hold, even before the blessing arrives, opens the door wider. Circumstances are followers, not leaders. They follow the direction of your deepest belief. So decide right now that you are not waiting for the win, you are welcoming it. You are not hoping to succeed, you are stepping into success. You are not trying to become worthy, you already are. The shift has already started because you have changed within. And when the inside transforms, the outside has no choice but to rise to match it. Your big win is simply the world catching up to who you have already become. What you assume and accept as truth determines what manifests in your life. Every experience you call reality is shaped by the beliefs you hold most firmly within. You may think reality is something that happens to you, something controlled by luck, circumstance, or the actions of others. But in truth, life is reflecting back to you what you consistently assume to be true about yourself and your world. The invisible assumptions you carry are not harmless thoughts. They are powerful commands directing the course of your life. Your imagination does not create possibilities by chance. It creates the blueprint of your destiny. When you accept a thought as truth, you give it permission to appear in physical form. If you assume you are always overlooked, life will bring situations where you are unseen. If you assume that money is hard to come by, life will continue to tighten your financial circumstances. If you assume that love is out of reach, relationships will always feel like a losing battle. These assumptions become the structure of your existence. But here is the liberating truth. If your assumptions create your reality, then you are not stuck. You are powerful. The moment you choose to assume differently, reality must shift to mirror your new belief. When you decide, truly decide, that you are chosen, worthy, abundant, capable, and destined for more, the universe begins to transform to match that decision. A new assumption is not just a thought, it is a new identity. Change does not come from forcing the world to behave differently. It comes from changing what you believe is true for you. You must believe in the desired outcome so deeply that it feels natural, inevitable, unquestionable. When you accept success as your truth, opportunities emerge that once seemed impossible. When you accept healing as your truth, your body and circumstances begin to realign. When you accept love as your truth, relationships take on a new frequency. Every assumption carries a feeling, and that feeling is what manifests. You cannot say that you believe in abundance while feeling fear and lack inside. You cannot say that you will win while expecting disappointment. Your emotional acceptance is the signal that calls your desire into form. What you assume must be felt, as done, as certain, as part of who you are now. Often, people sabotage their own manifestations by returning to their old assumptions too quickly. They plant the seed of a new belief, but when they don't see immediate evidence, they dig it up with doubt. You cannot demand proof and hold faith at the same time. You must persist in the assumption even when nothing seems to be happening, because something is happening. In the unseen, in the foundations of reality, in the energetic structure of your future. Your outer world is always behind your inner world. What you assume today will be what you live tomorrow. So choose your assumptions with intention. Accept the truth that empowers you, not the one that limits you. Claim a narrative that honors your dreams, not one that contradicts them. Once you accept the highest version of yourself as your truth, life will rise to meet that truth. Manifestation is not a matter of luck. It is a matter of what you choose to assume as real. The delay is not denial, it's preparation of the perfect outcome. When the things you desire don't arrive on your preferred timeline, it's easy to believe something has gone wrong. You start to worry that maybe the dream wasn't meant for you, that perhaps you misheard your calling, or that life is ignoring your belief. But what feels like delay is often strategic alignment. What seems like waiting is really shaping. What looks like silence is actually orchestration. There is a divine order working behind every scene of your life. The universe does not rush because it does not fear lack. It operates with perfect timing, placing every piece exactly where it needs to be. Sometimes you are ready for the blessing, but the blessing is not yet ready for you. Other times the blessing is ready, but you still need to grow into the version of yourself who can sustain it. Big wins require big capacity, and capacity is built in the waiting. Delay is the space where preparation happens. It is where strength is shaped, where clarity deepens, where character is refined. You are gaining the wisdom, discipline, and emotional stability that will allow you to hold your blessing without losing yourself. You are learning what you need to release so you can receive what is better. You are uncovering a stronger identity so that when the breakthrough arrives, you will be able to maintain it, protect it, and expand it. If everything you asked for showed up instantly, you might not value it, understand it, or even recognize it. The waiting teaches appreciation. It reveals what is truly important. It filters out the distractions that once pulled you away from your purpose. You are not simply waiting for the future is being sculpted around you. Think of a seed underground. Nothing appears to be happening. No growth is visible. The surface looks unchanged. But under the soil, roots are anchoring deep, preparing to burst through the ground with life. If someone judged that moment too soon, they might assume the seed had failed. But the delay is not failure. It is the very foundation of success. So when you feel stuck, do not confuse delayed timing with denied destiny. Life has a way of protecting you from less than you deserve. It removes what is too small. It redirects you from what would have harmed you. It pauses what would have arrived prematurely. The delay is a gift, a sign that something greater and more aligned is being prepared. Hold faith during the unseen process. Keep your vision active. Celebrate what is coming even before it arrives. Trust that when the right moment comes, things will happen faster than you can imagine. Doors will open that once seemed unmovable. Opportunities will appear effortlessly. What took months or years to prepare will manifest in a single moment of breakthrough. You are not being forgotten, you are being formed. You are not being denied, you are being delivered into the perfect alignment for your blessing. When everything comes together, you will look back and understand. The delay was not holding you back, it was setting you up for the greatest outcome of your life. Your belief is the invitation that summons your blessing. Nothing enters your life uninvited. Every good thing you desire is searching for a doorway, and that doorway is your belief. Belief is not merely optimism or wishful thinking, it is the inner conviction that what you desire is already yours. It is the mental and emotional acceptance of a reality not yet visible. When you believe with certainty, you are not hoping something will happen. You are acknowledging that it cannot fail to happen. Belief sends a clear signal to the universe, a declaration that you are ready to receive. It lifts you out of the energy of waiting and places you into the frequency of having. Many people ask for blessings, but deep down they doubt whether those blessings could ever arrive for them. That doubt acts like a closed door. Even though they desire more, their disbelief sends the message that they are not yet prepared to accept it. Blessings respond to expectation. When you believe, you align yourself with solutions, opportunities, connections, and breakthroughs that already exist for you in potential form. You become a magnet to the very things you have prayed for. Life does not withhold anything from you, but you can block your own good by refusing to believe in its possibility. Belief is power. It transforms the unseen into the seen. It converts spiritual promise into physical experience. When you choose to believe in a higher outcome, even when circumstances appear stagnant or challenging, you activate forces beyond the physical, forces that begin to move people, events, and timing in your favor. There is a reason. Success often begins long before success is visible. It begins the moment you see yourself differently, the moment you decide that your future does not depend on past limitations, the moment you stop questioning your worthiness. That is when the blessing receives its invitation. Belief opens the door. Belief says, "Come forward, for I am ready." Belief removes the barriers that once seemed immovable. It silences the voices of fear and doubt that try to convince you to shrink back. It allows the impossible to become logical, the unexpected to become natural. And belief must be persistent. It must continue even when nothing has changed yet in your outer world. When you hold on to belief in the silence, in the waiting, in the uncertainty, that is when your invitation becomes irresistible. You are proving that you trust the blessing is real even before you can hold it. And when you believe like that, the universe rushes to meet your certainty. Blessings arrive where belief lives. They gravitate to faith-filled imaginations, to hearts that already feel the success, to minds that already see the victory. Belief is not something you apply after the miracle. Belief is what births the miracle. Right now, every desire in your heart is waiting to be welcomed. Your blessing is not far. It is at the door. So stand in your belief. Claim the outcome. Expect the breakthrough. Because the moment you truly believe, you have already summoned the blessing into your life. Life from the feeling of the victory that is already yours. The greatest secret to manifesting what you desire is to emotionally step into the outcome before it becomes physical. Most people wait to celebrate until the success appears, but the ones who transform their lives live from the celebration before the evidence arrives. When you feel victorious now, reality must rearrange itself to match that inner state. You are not pretending, you are aligning with the truth that already exists in the unseen. Every accomplishment begins first as a feeling of certainty, of joy, of relief, of fulfillment. When you embody those emotions ahead of time, you send a powerful message to the universe. The outcome has already happened. By living in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you eliminate doubt, fear, and hesitation. You raise your identity to the level of your desire. You stop asking, when will it come, and start declaring, it is already mine. The feeling of victory is not just excitement, it is grounded assurance. It is the deep knowing that no matter what the physical world shows right now, the end result is guaranteed. It is the inner voice confidently saying, I have won, I am chosen. I am living the reality that once lived only in my imagination. When you anchor yourself in that state of mind, the universe responds, because emotion is the energetic signature of creation. Think about how you would live if the blessing had already arrived. How would you walk? How would you speak? What decisions would you make? How would you treat yourself? What standards would you hold? Step into that version of yourself now. If you are waiting for the outer world to change before you feel victorious, you are operating backwards. The feeling comes first, the change follows. This emotional alignment is not a game of fantasy. It is the most practical action you can take. When you feel abundance, you naturally behave in ways that attract more. When you feel confident, you show up with strength and clarity. When you feel loved, you become a magnet for deeper, more meaningful relationships. Your actions evolve to match the identity of someone who already has the victory, and life responds in kind. There will be moments when doubt tries to return, when circumstances tempt you to lower your vision back to what you see. In those moments, remind yourself the physical is always the last to show what is already true in the spirit. Refuse to let temporary illusions dictate your permanent promise. Choose the feeling of fulfillment again and again, even in silence, even in waiting, even when the results haven't surfaced. You are not hoping for victory, you are remembering it. You are not wishing for the outcome, you are stepping into what you already secured through belief. When you persist in the feeling of the end must show itself. Victory is not a distant event, it is your current identity. You are living from the triumph that has already been written in your favor. The world is simply catching up to who you have already become. Everything you have been believing for, everything you have been preparing for, everything you have been holding in faith is already making its way into your reality. The shift has begun. You are no longer waiting for the big win, you are aligning with it. You are no longer hoping for breakthrough. You are living from the truth that breakthrough is guaranteed. The unseen has already moved in your favor, and soon the visible world will reveal what has been unfolding silently all along. Continue to stand in your belief. Continue to speak from victory. Continue to walk as the person who has already received every blessing destined for them. Your story is transforming. Your life is rising. Your win is approaching quickly, and nothing can stop it. What belongs to you is coming with certainty, acceleration, and divine timing. Thank you for listening, and thank you for believing in the greatness that is already yours. The best chapter of your life is now beginning.